Westminster and the political bubble in London. Earlier tonight, we had the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, announcing a snap election, calling a snap election on the 4th of July, the Independence Day, which will be a very, very doom and gloomy day for the Tory party. But over the last couple of hours, we've been hearing some updates, including what happened earlier at the official Tory party launch, the election campaign launch, where the Sky News was removed by force, physically removed. And also we are hearing some breaking news updates just before we started this live stream from the Tory MPs who are planning to oust Rishi Sunak. Okay, so another day, another chaotic update from British politics. This time, the Conservative Party, the Conservative government have decided to choose suicide over being destroyed by the British public. Obviously, Nigel Farage had his reaction earlier on, which we showed you on 2CTV. Nigel Farage himself, I'm going to talk about him in a second as well, because he is going to be spending tonight, going home, thinking very carefully about his next political move, because tomorrow we might hear some updates about that. Another quick thing to also mention is that 2CTV will be at the Reform UK press conference tomorrow morning. I think it's 10:30 a.m. And I believe that's when we're going to find out more about what's going to happen with Reform and Nigel Farage, whether he's going to be coming back to Reform UK and having an active role, or whether he's going to do something even more radical. But let's talk about what happened earlier on. This is about the official Tory party's general election campaign launch event in East London. They invited the mainstream media. The cameras were there. Somehow, for some reason, Darren McCaffrey in this photo, who used to work for GB News until recently, he's now working for Sky News. They're all the same anyway. And I'm going to show you what happened with him. This is the video we have from Sky News. Two security guards decided to literally, physically drag him out of the event. Let's go.
At a Conservative Party launch, this is where the Prime Minister is going to speak in the next few minutes, and I'm being forcibly removed. We just simply wanted to have access tonight at Sky News, but unfortunately, we're told that because there are pool arrangements in place, we're not allowed to be here. This is, by the way, what we're trying to film is in the next couple of minutes. It's in front of Conservative activists. It's eventually trying to get across the message that we had in Downing Street today from the Prime Minister, talking about stability. I'm sure he's going to talk about the decision he's made. But as you can see, we just don't have access to it. It's not entirely clear why we don't have access to it that he's taken. So we're going to be put into an elevator here. Our bags are up here. We're probably going to have to leave at this stage.
Absolute shambles. Absolute shambles. Like since there are people in the live chat saying, no, the press conference is at 11 a.m., not at 10:30. So the event starts at 10:30 a.m. That's when the mainstream media go live, because that's when the speeches start. But 2CTV always bring you guys behind the scenes. So we will go at 10:30 when the actual event starts, and I'm going to do a pre-press conference live stream. And then, of course, we'll also give you the coverage at 11 a.m. when the actual speeches start. That's why I said 10:30, because we go way beyond what the mainstream media do and show you guys. So we got that to deal with. We got this Darren McCaffrey incident with Sky News. Having said that, we are also hearing some breaking news updates from the Conservative Party, the parliamentary Tory party, who have decided to post this. So Christopher Hope actually said this update, extraordinary but true. Some furious Conservative MPs are tonight working on a plot to call off the general election by replacing Rishi Sunak as leader before Parliament is dissolved next Thursday. One rebel Tory MP tells me he believes that several more letters of no confidence in Sunak have been submitted to the 1922 committee chairman Sir Graham Brady, one of the Tory MPs, senior MPs, told Christopher Hope that today has clearly been an absolute disaster, but the election is not. I mean, the elections were coming anyway, it's just about the date of it. Up until the point of the dissolution of Parliament, when the Brits are moved to begin the contest, it can still be aborted. In other words, if enough Tory MPs who are clearly going to lose their seats in this already campaign write to Sir Graham Brady tomorrow, the election could still be revoked. So the Tories are now trying to stop their own party leader from actually having this election happening, which is absolutely hilarious. Although, let's not forget the fact that the Conservative parliamentary MPs and members have been talking about ousting Rishi Sunak for the past, I believe, if I'm accurate, for the past 300 years. Yeah, 350 years they've been trying to get rid of Rishi Sunak for some reason. But at the same time, they are now saying we have urgency, we have to. Basically, it's the Tories eating themselves. That's basically what's happening right now. Usually, it's the political left that ends up eating itself, but this time it's the Tory party, or as we now call it, the Liberal Social Democrat Party of the Conservatives. So this is what's going on there, and inside the actual event, Rishi Sunak of this, because it's kind of funny how confident and how optimistic he is, and all the cabinet ministers standing behind him.
But with this hard-won economic stability comes a choice. Who do you trust to turn that foundation into a future, to decide whether we want to build on the progress that we have made or risk going back to square one with no plan and no certainty? Now, we all know that the only certainty with Labour is that they will run out of money and raise your taxes.
Run out of money and raise taxes are now claiming that the Labour Party will run out of money and raise taxes. And it's funny because the Tories also don't have a plan, but they're saying the Labour Party don't have a plan. Like, you're both doing this exact same thing, and then you're both accusing each other of the same thing. But the thing is, a lot of us are now completely aware of this situation, the state of British politics. You will be surprised to hear there's a big chunk of society to wait for is to find out some news headlines in newspapers and on their notification apps on BBC News when it gets close to the election. And they're just going to follow the sheep. They're going to go with what the mood is of the country. So everybody will create this atmosphere where they think they're following each other. That's why, by default, they're going to be ending up, most of them, voting either Tory or Labour, because the narrative is obviously controlled primarily by the newspapers and the corporate media. So all the people who don't follow politics and don't watch TCTV and other independent outlets, or just talk to people who know exactly what's going on with current affairs, they're just going to wait and see how they feel, not think, how they feel about the face of Rishi Sunak or the face of Keir Starmer when it gets close to the election, and think, yeah, I think my neighbor said I should vote Labour this time. I'm going to do that. Or I should vote Tory again this time. I'm going to do that. They're not going to think for themselves. That's why they become sheeple, and they will just follow the narrative. That's what it's our job to continue to push, to make sure the channel grows, and other independent media outlets as well, to make sure we actually have a bigger reach than even now. Of course, we're now getting about 2 million, a million views a day overall with the shows that we have. And of course, we have almost half a million followers on YouTube. And of course, we have our own independent site. But we have to continue to do the job, because if you care about the country, if you care about the Western world in general, because it's not really just about the UK, it's about this problem exists everywhere. we have to do it together. We have to make sure we have exposure and everything else. So that's the reality. And as I said, tomorrow morning from 10:30 a.m., we will be at Reform UK press conference, not just to see their reaction. The actual official speeches will start at 11, but we are waiting to see what Nigel Farage will be deciding. I'm going to hopefully get in touch with him in a minute, myself, Nigel, to kind of see what he's not going to tell me exactly, but I just want to get the vibe, test the waters to see what he's up to, because we think tomorrow we will be hearing an update from Nigel Farage directly himself, whether he's going to be joining Reform UK with an active role, or is he going to be doing something different, or if he's just going to decide to stay out of frontline politics for this election or not. He seemed quite worried when I was watching GB News earlier on, when he was talking on TV about his decision that is going to be made by tomorrow morning. He seemed a little bit frustrated, and he's taking some responsibility, because of course it was him and the Brexit party that allowed Boris Johnson and the Tories to get a majority by standing down from a number of constituencies in 2019, because they were splitting the vote. And he decided to put his faith in Boris Johnson's Tories at the time, and he himself is obviously disappointed. And at the time, he lost a lot of support from the people who are more radically more right-wing and anti-Tory. They said, why did you stand down? But blah, blah, blah. So he has to, of course, make the right decision this time compared to 2019. And there's a lot of pressure on him as well. There's a number of comments about what's going on with Reform UK. Someone said, get rid of ties and put Farage up front. It will be a game changer. And we have this. Let's go to the super chats as well. We got Clay Wright, thank you so much, saying 2C TV over a TV license. Yes, although you don't need TV license to watch 2C TV, obviously. How many Red Bulls will you drink on election night? Well, we're going to be doing a live coverage on 2C TV all night, hopefully. So it's going to be a lot of Red Bulls around on that night. Just a quick update. A lot of people seem confused about the 2C TV Plus membership. They think if they have a YouTube membership, they can access it, or locals or whatever. Obviously, with locals, we've cancelled all the memberships and refunded the money to everybody. So don't worry about all that. But no, the site is independent. 2C.TV, 2C Plus is independent. So if you want to remove your membership from YouTube and join there, that will be much easier. But if you have any old username and password from somewhere else, or locals, or the old site we had, it doesn't work. You have to join it directly, obviously. And if you have issues with the actual subscription, just go on my account at the top of the screen, scroll down, you'll find your subscription details. Rishi is not an Islamist, though. Starmer, I'm not sure. No, I mean, Starmer is just weak and feeble. Well, they both are weak and feeble. Any pressure from any sort of interest group, they would easily surrender. I mean, let's not forget, when we talk about these guys, whether it's Rishi Sunak surrendering to the European Union, if it is an idiotic deal, or whether it's Keir Starmer just essentially like a sheep himself going along and taking a knee back in 2020 with Angela Rayner when the BLM movement was acceptable, apparently, for like 10 minutes. And then they realized, well, this is not a good look, because the BLM movement had been exposed as a bunch of Marxist idiots. Then they didn't apologize for taking a knee. They didn't retract their comments. They continued to just basically pretend it never happened. And they want to treat you like an idiot. That's the problem I have with the current leadership, because they all end up being puppets, not necessarily directly, but indirectly, because they don't have the mind of their own. They don't have any independent thought. So if, for example, a lobby group comes and said, well, this is the new trend, you have to support this. We talked about this in Davos at the World Economic Forum. You have to do this. You have to promote eating cockroaches, for example, or the digital currencies, or ULEZ, or the 20 miles per hour. You have to do it because everybody else is following it in the political establishment. They end up doing it because they don't have their own mind. They're a bunch of idiots, weak and feeble idiots. That's what they've been promoted all these years. The new class of politicians for the past 20, 30 years. Those who are weak-minded are promoted. As long as they are good team players and essentially the slave to the system, they are allowed to be promoted. They are allowed to become leaders of our establishments. But they don't have a mind of their own. they essentially are played by various sides. So it says Starmer reminds me of a rabbit frozen in car headlights. It's, pretty accurate. Manisha says, be careful of Habib. Yes, Ben Habib was an interesting character because when Lee Anderson was still a Tory MP and there was talks about him defecting to Reform UK, Ben Habib had a bit of a radical reaction against him. And but then Lee Anderson joined Reform UK, and somehow Ben Habib is now friends with. It's obviously, I know it's politics and things happen, but we need more consistency, basically, in politicians. We don't really seem to get any of that. People change their minds on various issues. Ben Habib is one of them, obviously. Anyway, although he's been solid on the Brexit issues, objectively speaking, Ben Habib has been good when it comes to the Northern Ireland issues. But no one is perfect, so they have their own problems on different stuff. Barry says, Maya, do you think that the Trump and Finland president meeting may have influenced this, as he called out the corrupt lefty media like CNN? Not really. No, and not directly. If those things had an impact on any of the stuff that's been going on, especially today, I would be massively surprised. Going back to super chats for a second, to the tower, thank you for the super chat, says, showing YouTube videos on TCTV Plus will reduce your YouTube stats. Maybe no, it doesn't. Actually, it doesn't, because they are unlisted videos, they're private links. Maybe link to the videos instead of showing them on the platform. Just an idea. The biggest problem we have is bringing people over to independent. So it's not public on YouTube. It's just a private link on YouTube. And obviously going forward, we'll create our own independent video player. But for now, we're just using the actual private or unlisted links on YouTube. It doesn't really actually affect the public channel anyway. We might even link it to some random channel we'll just create as an alternative channel with 0 subscribers. It doesn't really matter. We'll create our own independent ones in the future. We just need, obviously, I'll spend all the money I had on this project because I don't want to sell out to anybody or anything. So it's been tricky. It's been difficult. We had a lot of ups and downs. Obviously, it's working now, but I do need your support, guys. If you want independent media, I'm not forcing you. The actual breaking news stuff on YouTube will remain free. News should be free as much as possible. But if you want to get more out of this channel, join TCTV Plus. That's the best way to support us and keep us independent. Also, a lot of people are waiting for the phone calls, because if you join an annual option, you also get a welcome phone call from me directly. There's so many of you. give me some time. I'm going through the list slowly every day. I'm dedicating like an hour or two every day to talk to you guys, and the conversations are long. So stay patient. You will eventually get your phone call by Christmas. I'll do it quickly. Don't worry. Right. Clay says, Maya for Prime Minister, because he doesn't want it. There's a reason he should be. Anyone who wants it should be booted. Power attracts the West. Yeah, I don't want that. I'd rather die in a ditch. Although that's what Boris said before he became Prime Minister. Peter says, with Starmer in number 10, the country will get very dizzy with all these U-turns. That's a good point as well. Although, I mean, when he's in government, he's going to be primarily run by people like Tony Blair. I don't think we're going to see U-turns. I think we're just going to see a lot of bad policies. Not that the current policies are good, by the way. Every time you kind of criticize the Labour Party, you have to realize, you're not necessarily praising the Tories either. M says, I've done monthly. I won't get my dirty phone call. Like phone calls, they're welcome. That's a whole different tier of membership if you want dirty phone calls. Anyway, Tanker says 1-800 hot my chat. You guys all have dirty minds in the live chat. What is it with you guys? This is a family show. It's a family channel. I might create a new tier for dirty calls. Don't worry. I have joined. Well worth it. Thank you, Cara. The good thing is everyone's already, they seem happy with the actual platform itself, the videos that we're doing. And by the way, the quality of the shows that we're doing to develop, they will get better and better. We've had issues, as some of you already know, in terms of the losing the old studio. and the equipment, and it's been chaotic. There's been coups and everything else. But obviously, just go on tc.tv and join. Let me know your thoughts on what could happen tomorrow with the Reform UK press conference, obviously, because that's when we're going to hear if Nigel Farage is going to come back or not. Do you think it's a good idea or not? Greg says Reform play the long game. Labour will destroy Britain and the public will be ready for Reform. If Reform UK or a party like Reform can get their act together long term throughout the term, the parliamentary term, even if they don't get a seat, even if they get 1 or 2 seats, it's about what the party does. Then yes, there is an opportunity. But do not underestimate the Tory party's power to come back. Right now, you're all angry, and we're all angry, but they do have the ability. It's part of their nature. The whole party is based on simply winning power. He has a set of values which has been ignoring for some time now, but it doesn't have an ideology. And when they get desperate, and this has happened so many times for the past 200 years, every now and then people say the Tory party is dead. It usually comes back. I'm not necessarily saying 100% the Tory party will come back, and I'm also not saying 100% the Tory party is dead. That's what I'm saying. Don't underestimate it. Don't think it's definitely dead, but don't get excited that the Tories will definitely find the right leader and come back and become the best party in the world. It's a very tricky situation. In fact, if they can't get their act together over the next couple of years after losing, if they lose, right, then it's likely they could die. If a party like Reform, or maybe a different party, I don't know, Return of UKIP, could actually put together a proper plan and proper team. As I say, it's not just about the leadership. Everyone talks about Richard Tice and Nigel Farage. It's about all the counties and all the local branches, towns and cities and villages. You need branches. And what UKIP did, obviously what Tories do every day, what Labour do, what Lib Dems do, Greens, and what UKIP eventually did, and that's what helped UKIP at the time. You need local leaders and community leaders and councillors. If you do that, then you can actually be a threat to the main parties. You can't just have a couple of good names top of the party and wish for the best. It doesn't really help. It's all is a forgiven. Let's probably not support terrorists, but yeah, I know what you mean. We're all frustrated. It's probably best not to support terrorists who want to blow up parliament. I'm sorry, even in London, that's crazy. I mean, I think my rent went up by £100 a month this year. A month. That is insane. Where are you? New York City. Let me know. And you get your dirty phone calls soon as well. If you want to just send the email again, because as I said, we're going through the emails. We can't reply to everyone, but we are fixing the issues based on the emails. But you have to go to my account and check your subscription, because you might not actually have the subscription yet. It's a long process. I'll explain it properly at some point. Yeah, if you want to send just Steve in the subject of the email, just let me know that you just send me a super chat. Oh, Hunter is an actual Australia, so I thought it was the US was when you send me. I guess. Yeah, that's also expensive. Yep, it's almost as bad as New York, actually. Not as bad as New York, but for 100 Australian dollars a month, it's a week. Still a bit of an increase. Anyway, have the dad joke starting in. Hey, why? Are Indians the corner? They open. Go back to super chats. Peter says, "All I can is that 2016 shocked everyone." I think all I can say. Yep. Mr. Privacy says, "Precise decisions. Why now related to preparedness?" I think yes. I mean, they're all panicking anyway. And Paul was back. Thank you, and Paul. I think my joke worked. I can see the live chat. People are enjoying it. No one's canceling me, right? Yeah, good. Right. You and then on the first of June. Yeah, I'm speaking at the event, 1st of June in Westminster, obviously. So, it says FFS. I love that joke. See? Told you. My dad jokes are good. Just need to become a dad. Your super chats. You could save this money and just join TCTV Plus. It's easier, right? Just a heads up. Thank you for your generous support as well. A press conference and 11 a.m. will be the actual speeches. We'll find out what Nigel Farage is going to do, his decision, and of course, the Tories are apparently sending in the letters of no confidence in Rishi Sunak again. I'm here to keep you guys posted. Just a quick shout out again to TV. Go and join TCTV Plus, their brilliant shiny website, develop or I will be directly going and selling out my soul to all the corporations, including Klaus Schwab and George Soros. You've been watching 2C TV. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.